on Fascinating Frontiers, episode 119. It's July 2nd, 2026. Let's look at what's new across the frontiers of space and science. A Jupiter-sized world lighter than cotton candy shows that giant planets can form with almost no solid core. Astronomers have identified giant planets whose average density is lower than cotton candy despite radii similar to Jupiter. The worlds orbit stars at distances that allow detailed atmospheric measurements with current telescopes. Their extremely low densities suggest large, extended atmospheres with very little solid material at the core. Follow-up observations are planned to determine how such tenuous structures remain stable. The discoveries add new test cases for models of giant planet formation. Now the spotlight turns to why these diffuse envelopes do not collapse or get stripped away. The segment examines how such structures avoid gravitational collapse during migration. JWST transmission spectra may reveal whether the gas is primordial or replenished. Current formation models struggle to explain the stability of these envelopes over billions of years. The question remains how the gas stays bound without a substantial core. From distant planet formation, the view shifts inward to a long-standing solar mystery. A new model proposes that charged dust grains ferry energy from the turbulent magnetic field into the corona. Spacecraft data show roughly 1 grain per cubic kilometer, yet the cumulative effect can help heat the corona to over 1 million degrees. The process operates on hours to days timescales before grains sublimate. If the sun were scaled to the size of a basketball sitting on a Toronto street, the corona would extend outward like an invisible million-degree halo reaching past the CN Tower and into the suburbs. Charged dust grains drifting through this region pick up energy from the turbulent magnetic field and then collide with ions and electrons, transferring that heat outward. We can map the dust and measure the resulting X-ray emission, but nobody yet knows whether the grains dominate the heating or merely supplement waves and reconnection events that scientists have tracked for decades. While dust shapes conditions near the sun, agencies on Earth are shaping the next generation of Earth observation satellites. The European Space Agency has given Airbus Defence and Space authorization to proceed with Aeolus 2, the follow-on to the original wind-measuring satellite. The new mission will continue global wind observations from orbit and feed data directly into weather forecast models. It is being developed in partnership with EUMETSAT to strengthen both short-term forecasting and long-term climate records. The authorization moves the project from study into full development. Next, Airbus will begin detailed design and component procurement for the spacecraft. European agencies are advancing Earth science. Across the Atlantic, a private company has reached a production milestone. SpaceX teams have finished building and acceptance testing the 1000th Merlin 1D engine for Falcon first stages. Reusability has allowed the company to recover and inspect engines after flight, revealing ways to improve reliability over successive builds. The milestone reflects steady production gains since the engine family entered service. Each new engine incorporates lessons from prior flights and ground tests. The company continues to fly the same core design on both Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. While one company celebrates engine reuse, another is recovering from a recent launch setback. 1 month after the New Glenn launch failure, Blue Origin has resumed hardware testing and recovery operations. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson publicly noted the company's rapid progress on the next vehicle. Work includes structural inspections and engine testing ahead of a planned return-to-flight attempt. The company is applying lessons from the mishap to both the booster and upper stage. Observers are watching for the next integrated vehicle test. Commercial launch activity continues with the final flight of a long-running rocket family. An Atlas V 551 lifted off from Cape Canaveral at 0430 UTC on 2 July, carrying 29 Amazon LEO satellites. The flight marked the last time the 551 configuration will fly with a customer payload. United Launch Alliance completed the mission successfully, ending a long run of Atlas V commercial launches. The satellites will join Amazon's expanding broadband constellation in low Earth orbit. Future Amazon launches will shift to other vehicles. While legacy rockets retire, smaller spacecraft are being readied for asteroid exploration. ESA has awarded a contract to Spanish firm EMXYS to build a shoebox-sized CubeSat that will touch down on asteroid Apophis. The spacecraft, named Don Quixote, will be released by the Ramses mission before the asteroid's close Earth approach in April 2029. It will be the first CubeSat designed to operate on an asteroid's surface. The lander will carry instruments to study surface properties during the flyby. Development begins immediately under the new contract. Small spacecraft will soon visit asteroids. A much larger survey telescope has just begun mapping the entire southern sky. The Vera C. Rubin Observatory has started the Legacy Survey of Space and Time, one of the largest astronomical imaging programs ever attempted. More than 80 Japanese researchers are already contributing to data analysis and software development, drawing on experience from the Subaru telescope. The survey will repeatedly image the southern sky to detect transients, map dark matter, and track solar system objects. Japanese teams are providing key algorithms for image processing and calibration. Early data releases are expected within the first year of operations. Wide-field surveys will soon deliver vast new data sets. Meanwhile, a historic artifact has returned to Earth. A small piece of fabric from the Wright Flyer flew aboard Artemis II during its lunar flyby and has now been placed on display at the Smithsonian's National Air and Space Museum. The swatch joins other mission keepsakes that highlight connections between early aviation and current human spaceflight. NASA has published a full list of the mementos carried by the crew. The return of the artifact marks the completion of the first crewed Artemis flight's post-mission activities. Future Artemis missions are expected to carry additional historical items. Historical connections continue with a fresh look at an under-recognized chapter of NASA's workforce. A new historical account details how 11 deaf men contributed to NASA's human spaceflight program in the 1960s. Their work included precision manufacturing and testing of components for Mercury and Gemini spacecraft. The article draws on oral histories and NASA archives that had not been widely published before. Their contributions helped establish quality control standards still used today. The story highlights an under-recognized chapter in aerospace workforce history. From overlooked contributors, we move to an independent look at a current program's challenges. An independent review links Boeing's Starliner technical problems to overly optimistic schedules and insufficient NASA oversight during development. The report details how early confidence in the vehicle's design reduced the margin for addressing integration challenges. NASA has already begun implementing several of the review's recommendations. The findings cover the period from contract award through the most recent uncrewed test flight. A follow-up assessment is expected later this year. Program reviews continue while new X-ray data reshape our picture of the Milky Way's outer arms. New Chandra X-ray observatory data indicate the Milky Way's outer spiral arms may extend farther than earlier maps suggested. Astronomers measured precise distances to dust clouds that absorb X-rays, revealing arm segments previously thought to be closer. The finding could revise models of the galaxy's overall structure and mass distribution. The observations cover regions several thousand light-years from the Sun. Further Chandra pointings are scheduled to trace additional arm segments. While our galaxy's structure is being redrawn, a surviving planet offers a glimpse of post-main sequence evolution. JWST observations have captured a planet that survived the red giant phase of its host star. The data show the planet's atmosphere remains intact despite the intense radiation and mass loss that occurred during the star's death. Researchers are using the spectrum to measure changes in atmospheric composition caused by the stellar evolution. The system offers a rare look at post-main sequence planetary survival. Additional JWST visits are planned to monitor seasonal or orbital variations. Distant exoplanet survival gives way to a simple tool for exploring our own cosmic backyard. The popular Hubble, What Did Hubble See on Your Birthday page has been refreshed with a new interface. Users can now select any date and receive 5 images of objects the telescope was observing that day. The update makes it easier to explore the archive without prior knowledge of specific targets. The tool draws from Hubble's long-term observation logs stretching back more than 3 decades. It remains one of NASA's most visited public astronomy resources. Next time, keep an eye on follow-up JWST spectra of the surviving white dwarf planet and the first data releases from the Rubin survey. That covers today's space and science news. Share this with a fellow space enthusiast if you found it interesting. I'm Patrick in Vancouver. See you tomorrow. And if you'd rather watch than listen, find us on YouTube at NARA Network. Links in the show notes. And before you go, this show is part of the NARA Network, a family of daily podcasts on tech, science, and markets. Each one a short, sharp briefing you can finish on the commute. If today earned its place in your feed, here's your next listen. OmniView, a balanced daily world news briefing that takes every side seriously. Find every show free at naranetwork.com. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.
Drifting soft